He inspired me. He was athletic, smart, like the smartest kid I knew. And I really think like this world wasn't even ready for him.
On September 6th, 2015, the body of Charles Oudie, known as Sonny to close friends and relatives, was discovered in mysterious circumstances. It was quickly judged as an accidental death by Vancouver police. That judgment was made on questionable grounds, claims the Oudie family, who feel a proper police investigation was never conducted. 1 year later, they continued to search for answers. Sister Alicia and Mother Eugenia generously agreed to sit down with Cafe Vancouver to pay tribute to Sonny, share their struggle for answers, and state why a gender-inclusive inquiry into missing and murdered Indigenous people is important.
He always wanted to find a way to play hockey somewhere. And he said, Mom, I want to play hockey. And I didn't even know where to get the equipment and stuff. And he's the one that got me into like interest in the hockey. And yeah, and got us all, he'd make us go watch him. And yeah, that's what he loved, was hockey. And then when we moved here, he put himself through it to graduate. And then he got a job at Rogers Arena, and it's still about hockey, the Canucks. And yeah, he really loved his job. And wherever he went, he would join some kind of recreation, like at Native College he was doing before he died. He got into the floor hockey, and that's how he was meeting other people that he said, yeah, I really like where I go, he said. But these other guys are just turning their lives around, he said. And these are the people he was hanging around with, was people that were turning their lives around. And he was so full of life before he died, and somebody took it away from him. Then when I got to Alicia's, and the police came there, and then one of the police took me aside, and while he sat down with me and told me, he was trying to explain to me what happened to my son. But I couldn't really hear all he said. All I know was he told me my son was dead, and that they found him in a back alley. And I had so many questions, but I was so in grief. I didn't know what to think or do. But I just felt it wasn't right. A mother's instinct. I felt it wasn't right when they told me it was accidental, that he just fell in there. Like the police, they're supposed to be investigating all winter, and they never ever tried to communicate with us. There's no communication. And we tried to make phone calls. They would never return our phone calls. She only called me to tell me that she was off the case. So I asked her at that time, so what have you guys been doing? Was there anything new? And she says, no, we still think it's accidental, she said. That's all, those were her only words to me. No explanation what they've been doing or anything. I want to know every detail how my son died, how he got in there, who was involved. I want to know how he died. I want to know his last breath, what happened. And I don't get that from the police here.
It's not only Sonny's case, Charles's case. There's a lot of cases across Canada where these Indigenous people accidentally die. Right away, the police, they always want to say our Indigenous people die by accidents. They don't ever really investigate properly in the amount of time. Mm-hmm. They always say oh, it's too far to investigate, or they just don't put it, they don't put the right amount of time in the investigation. They don't, just because I feel that we're Indigenous, it doesn't, we don't matter. Mm-hmm. And it's just not my brother's case, but it's all Indigenous people. And our people want answers. For our men too, for our brothers. I'm happy that they're inquiring about missing and murdered Indigenous girls and women, but I just feel there's so many men out there that needs investigating too, and boys.
If they're not going to help me, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to be heard. I'm not going to hide behind the Vancouver City Police or those investigators that don't tell me nothing, or my chiefs, or my people. If you want something to be heard, you go do it yourself, because I'm not going to sit back. If I'm going to sit back, I will never get closure. And also for other people that their loved ones are gone, like the guys too. Our warriors, our men that's supposed to protect us. We shouldn't let them die. We got to protect each other.
It shouldn't be about gender. And our families, like all our Indigenous families, we need answers too. We don't get those answers. We don't have the same respect. It's literally the most heartbreaking. And I know how it feels when you're not affected, but once you just put yourself in these family shoes, and if you can't feel, then sit down and talk with us. There's so many families across Canada that need answers too, for their brothers, for their uncles, for their grandpa. It's not just for the women, I believe it's for men too, the males in our family.
I'm really commend the Missing and Murdered Women inquiry, but please include the missing and murdered men and boys too, and children, because we're just as equally important.
So we just want to bring more awareness to the case and add my brother to the missing and murdered Indigenous boys and men, because we want to give them that chance too. And we know how these families feel, because we are that family. We never thought it would happen to us, but it did. So we just want to bring more awareness to missing and murdered Indigenous boys and men, because there's families out there like us that need answers also. Thank you.